Hi students, welcome to JOSAT. Today we are going to see Learning and Teaching Unit 1. Unit 1 is about nature of learning. Let's go into objective. In this lesson we are going to study about nature of learning and basic principle of learning, principle and techniques of active learning and their implications, and differentiate between the rote learning and meaningful learning, and define what is self learning. These are the topics we are going to learn. Let's move on to introduction. Learning is acquiring knowledge or skill that enrich our life. Learning is the change in the behavior. Elements of learning will support learning to be lively and interesting. The basic principle of learning are four types: rote learning, meaningful learning, active learning, and self learning. Now let's see the meaning of learning. Knowledge or a skill gained from learning or learning is an important form of personal adaptation. Learning itself cannot be measured, but the results can be measured. Learning is the activity of gaining knowledge by studying, practicing, and being taught. Learning is the modification of the behavior through practice, training, and experience. Let's go to the definition of learning. Learning is acquiring any skill that enrich your life. It doesn't have to be taught out of a book or by a teacher. Rather, you may acquire it through your own exploration, through sharing, or by instruction from anyone, not necessarily a teacher. This is said by Angela. Learning is a relatively permanent change in the behavior or attitude of a person over the time. This is said by Christine. Learning is the change in behavior. This is said by Rebecca. Let's move on to elements of learning. There are 14 elements of learning. Let's see one by one. Face to face promotive interaction, that means each other talk to them and share their ideas after studying a topic in a classroom. Family and cultural background, that is manifesting a wide range of behavior in the classroom. Ability, student capacity to understand is called ability. Next, attitude, the positive attitude like responsible, creative, and curiosity inside the students is called attitude. Aptitude, innate talent or the gift of the student is called aptitude. Climate, change of climate can stimulate or retard the learning of the student. Collaborative skill, effective group functioning like leadership, team building, etc. is called collaborative skill. Eighth is experience. Experience learning from activity, atmosphere, etc. involves in learning of a student. Ninth, learner is involved. Until the student is prepared to learn, the teacher cannot force them to learn. 10th, teacher is the key person. Organize a learning experience for the teacher and the student. 11th, positive interpretance. We sing or swim together. Acting to a group in a group form is called positive interpretance. Interest, that is to learn themselves by interest, little more informative is called interest. 13th, individual responsibility. Each one given a certain work and that has to be done with responsibility. 14th, group processing. How well the group is functioning in the academic or the other area is called group processing. Let's go into the basic principle of learning. There are 12 basic principles of learning. They are, let's see one by one. First, learning is growth. Learning is actually the form of growth. The child grow both mentally and physically in their daily activity. Learning is growth through experience. Second, learning is adjustment. Learning is based to our attempts to adjust ourselves to the environment. That is, learning helps the individual to adjust himself adequately to the new situation. Third, learning is organizing experience. That is, learning is not just an addition of new experience nor as an old experience sum up. Rather, it is a synthesis of the old and the new experience which result in a completely new organization of a pattern of experience. Facts are rearranged in a proper relation and then appropriated learning takes place. Fourth, learning is purposeful. All true learning is purpose goal directed. When the learner finds that his desire or fulfilled learning is effective, then it is learning is purposeful. Fifth, learning is intelligent. Meaningless repetition does not produce permanent learning. Only understanding and intelligent repetition can ensure lasting results in learning. Sixth, learning is action. Learning is the nature outcome of the individual's attempt to meet his basic and normal needs. All genuine learning is called self learning. All the progressive methods of teaching, the Dalton plan, project method, Montessori method, kindergarten, the basic education lays stress on these characteristics of learning. Seventh is learning is both individual and social. Learning is more than an individual activity, it is a social activity too. No one can deny the social agency like family, community, film, religious place, etc. These influences the children are and always affected his or her behavior pattern. Individual mind is affected by the group mind consciously as well as the unconsciously. Eighth one, learning is unenforceable. Human learning is the matter of human action. It cannot be enforced upon the human being. Child is not interested. The teacher must wait for that child to be ready for learning or he will destroy the very work which is being attempted. Ninth is learning is the product of the environment. The environment should be healthy and rich in educative possibilities. It must be the conducive to learning. 10th, true learning affects the conduct of the learner. True learning produces changes in the behavior pattern of the learner. Every experience produces a change in the mental structure of the learner, which in turn affects the conduct of the learner. 11th, learning is whole. The human organism functions as a whole. 12th, learning frequently depends upon insight. Insight has sometimes been described as the flash of understanding. The ability to gain insight depends upon interest, previous knowledge, and intelligence. In the case of a dull child, it will be necessary for the teacher to give more usual assistance to enable him to grasp the meaning and underlying a situation. Next is learning and their implications. There are 6 implications of learning. First is auditory learner. These activities include interviewing, debating, participating a panel, giving oral report and participating in oral discussion of a written material is called auditory learner. A visual learner is these activities suggest computer graphics, map, graph chart, cartoon, poster diagram, text with a lot of picture. These are visual learning. Next is tactile learner. Some favorite activity include drawing, playing board games and making model is tactile learner. Kinesthetic learner, playing games that involve the whole body movement activity, make models and set up experiments is called kinesthetic learner. And is the global learner is choral reading, recorded books, story writing, computer program, games, group activities are called global learner. Analytical learner, information presented in a sequential step, teacher directed, clear goal and requirements is called analytic learner. Let's see rote learning versus meaningful learning. Rote learning will be different from meaningful learning, which generally means reproduction of the received information. It implies that learned person will follow a prescribed behavior pattern. Let's go into the differentiation. In rote learning method, the learner reproduces whatever he is taught and is not worried about the correctness of the information being given to him. On the other hand, meaningful learning is the process the learner is expected to properly examine the information received by him and the question, even the methodology at each and every step. The rote learning process, the output is at most equal to the input. Whereas in the meaningful learning process, output can be more than the input. It is so because meaningful learner will always contribute something new. Basically, rote learning is called parasitic learning, and the learner learns only whatever the parents or teacher teaches him. His mind becomes totally parasitic. He is not able to bring out anything more than what they have learned from their teacher or the parent. A meaningful learner, on the other hand, learns how to stand on one's own feet. It would be interesting to note that parasitic plants never bear fruit. Only those plants bear fruit which have roots sunk deep into the soil and which do not need any support of any other plant for their sustenance. This is meant as meaningful learning. A root learner is just like a parrot which produces whatever it is taught, but a meaningful learner learns to examine everything critically with an open mind to bring out something new every time. A root learner is basically a reproducer, whereas meaningful learner is an innovative person. A root learner is generally a passive participant in any event. Meaningful learner is an active participant in the whole process. Rote learning means just imitating a pattern, but meaningful learning means adding something new to the pattern to change it for better. Let's see a tabular differentiation among the meaningful learning and rote learning. Meaningful learning is holistic, where rote learning is fragmented. Meaningful learning is dynamic, where rote learning is static. Meaningful learning is original, rote learning is repetitive. Meaningful learning is participatory, wherein rote learning is non participatory. Meaningful learning driven by love for learning independent, where rote learning is driven by need for parasitic. Meaningful learning output is greater than the input, where rote learning's output is less than or equal to input. Next topic is active learning. Active learning is anything that involves student in doing things and thinking about the things they are doing. Said by Bonewell. This is the definition of active learning. Let's move on to the meaning of active learning. Active learning is generally defined as any instructional method that engages the students in a learning process is called active learning, where active learning is learning which engage and challenges the children and young people's thinking using in real life and imaginary situation. It takes full advantage of the opportunities for learning presented by five things: spontaneous play, planned purposeful play, investigating and exploring, event and life experience, focused learning and teaching. Let's move on to the principle of active learning. Educational psychologists and pedagogy have identified several principles of learning. These principles have been discovered, tested, and used in the practical situations. There are 18 principles of active learning. Let's see one by one. Learning involves the active construction of meaning by the learner. This means student link new information with the information they already know. That is, new and old information are assembled into mental models. Next is effective group learning. Many faculties are very independent learners and so struggle a bit with accepting this principle. In different disciplines, that supports the power of getting students to work together to learn. Third is effect of continuous learning. Students learn to speak the languages of disciplines when they practice speaking those languages. Fourth is purposive. The relevance of the task with the student's concern is called purposive. Fifth is reflective. Students' reflection on the meaning of what is learnt. Sixth, negotiated. Negotiation of the goals and the methods of learning between a student and teacher is negotiation. Seventh, critical. Students appreciate different ways and means of learning the content. Complex. Students compare learning tasks with complexity existing in the real life is called complex. Ninth, situation driven. The need of the situation is taken into consideration in order to establish a learning task. 10th, engaged. Real life tasks are reflected in the activities conducted for learning. 10th, good practice encourage contact between student and faculty. Frequent student faculty contact in and out of the class is most important factor in student motivation and involvement. 12th, the cooperation among students. Learning is enhanced when it is more like a team effort than a solo race. Working with others often increase involvement in learning. 13th, active learning techniques. Learning is not a spectator sport. Students do not learn much just sitting in classes, listening to teacher, memorizing prepared package assignment and spitting out answer. They are learning right reflective about it, relate it to past experience and apply it to their daily life. This is called active learning technique. Give prompt feedback. In the class, students need frequent opportunity to perform and receive feedback on their performance. 15th, emphasis time on task. Time plus energy equals learning. And a realistic amount of time means effective learning for the student and effective teaching for faculty. Good practice of communicates high expectation. New technology can communicate high expectation explicitly and efficiently. 18th is respect talent and way of learning. Many roads lead to learning. Different students bring different talent and styles to college. Brilliant student in the seminar might be topper. Student rich in hands-on experience may do not do well in theory. Students need opportunities to show their talent and learn in ways that work for them. Let's move on to the techniques of active learning. There are 7 techniques of active learning. Think, pass, share. That is, a student answer to the question and then share their thoughts with the neighbor. Role playing. Each student take the role of a person and act according to it. Third is discovering plate boundary. This is a group discussion method which is a zigzag technique. Fourth, peer review. Student review and comment on material written by their classmate. Fifth, discussion. Promoting a successful discussion depends on correctly framing a question. Sixth, problem solving using real data. Students use a variety of data to explore scientific questions. Seventh, game-based learning. Use competitive exercise either pitting the student against each other or through computer stimulations. Next, we are going to see about active learning and their implications. There are 14 implications in active learning. Let's see one by one. First is 1-minute paper. This is highly effective technique for checking students' progress both in understanding the material and in reacting to the course material. Ask a student to take out a blank sheet of paper, pose a question and give them 1 minute to respond. For example, a question will be like, what is scientific realism? What is an activation energy of a chemical reaction, and so on. Effective response, second one. Similar to the above exercise, but here you are asking students to report their reactions to some facets of their course material. That is to provide an emotional or evaluative response to the material. Third is daily journal, that is example newspaper. Teacher may set aside a class time for students to complete their journal entries or reading a newspaper or books, magazines, etc. Fourth is reading quiz. that is checking the comprehension of the student. The reading quiz can also be used as an effective measure of students' comprehension of learning. Fifth is clarification pause. Student who would not ever ask a question in front of whole classroom will ask question during a clarification pause as you move on about the room nearby the students. Sixth, question and answer. While most of us use question as the way of prodding students and instantly testing comprehension, there are simple way of tweaking our questioning techniques which increase students' involvement and comprehension. Seventh, the Socratic method. Testing the students' knowledge by asking questions during the course of a lecture. Instructor or a teacher chooses a particular student, present her with a question and expects an answer forthwith. If the chosen student cannot answer the question, the teacher will choose another student until the desired answer is received. Eighth is peer review. One student has volunteered and answered to their question. Ask another student to summarize the first student's response. Many students hear little of what their classmate have to say, waiting instead for the instructor to either correct or repeat the answer. This makes the possibility of being asked to repeat a classmate's comment. Most of the students will listen more attentively to each other. Next, ninth one is fish bowl. Students are given index card and asked to write down one question concerning the course material. They should be directed to ask question of clarification regarding some aspect of the material which they do not fully understand. Students deposit their question in a fish bowl and then the instructor draws several questions out of the bowl and answer them for the class or ask the class to answer them. 10th is finger signal. Students are asked question and instructed to signal their answer by holding up the appropriate number of finger immediately in front of their class teacher. This make it impossible for the students to copy, thus committing them to answer each question on their own. For example, one finger for yes and two finger for no, whereas the question will be like, do all organic compounds contain carbon? This will be said yes or no. Next, flashcards. A variation of a finger signal approach. This method tests students' comprehension through their response to flashcard held by the instructor. Next is share pair. Grouping student in pair allow many of the advantages of group work. Students have the opportunity to state their own view, to hear from others, to argument and their skill in argument and without the administrator. 13th is discussion. Students are asked to pair off and to respond a question either in turn or as a pair. Generally, this works best when students are given explicit direction such as tell each other why you choose the answer, what you did. 14th is evaluation of another student's work. Students are asked to complete an individual homework assignment or a short paper. On the day the assignment is due, students submit one copy to the instructor to be graded and the other copy to their partner. Each student then takes their partner's work and depending on the nature of assignment gives critical feedback, standardize or assess the arguments, corrects mistake in problem solving or grammar and so forth. This is a particularly effective way to improve students' writing. Next topic is self-learning. Let's move on to the definition of self-learning. The way of learning about a subject that involves studying alone at home rather than in a classroom with a teacher is called self-learning. Let's see importance of self-learning. Importance of self-learning is three points. Understanding how to learn, learning without external aids. Third is preparing for the future. Self-learning individual can aim to learn a little bit about everything or they can work out towards mastering a single subject. Let's move on to the benefits of self-learning. First is student become an independent thinker. Second, student learn to accept responsibility. Third, student gains the freedom to learn without restriction. Fourth, students earn accountability. Fifth, students test well because he is used to tackling the problem on his own, which equals the confidence. Next, students learn where to go when help is needed. There is no need to worry about gaps in their education because if they need to know something down the road, they will just look it up on their own. Next is the student has the courage to develop into an area of interest to study it without having to wait for a teacher to teach to them. Next, the student become more than prepared for the college study, which will require motivation and planning ahead. Next is self-learning gives the opportunity to develop a good work ethic. Self-learning allows the learner to go as deeply into the subject and interact with the subject matter as deeply as he would like to go. Self-learning is more fun than being taught by someone. Self-learning means that mom can read great books rather than teacher's manual and textbook. Self-learning trains one to go to the source for the information, which reduces the possibility of a faulty material. Self-learning is the wave of the future now that so much information is available at our fingertips. Self-learning means that babies and toddlers get more attention from mom because she is not busy playing teacher. Unit 1 Nature of Learning is over in learning and teaching subject. Let's move to the question and discuss the question and answer of this unit. First is give the meaning and definition of learning. Second is describe the elements of learning. Third, what are the basic principles of learning? And fourth, discuss about the root learning and meaningful learning. Fifth, how would you implicate the active learning, its definition, meaning and principle and techniques of active learning? Sixth, write an essay on self-learning and benefits of self-learning. Unit 1 is over. Notes will be given in the description box as a link and it is a PDF format. Please make use of it and all the best for your exam. Before that, please subscribe my channel for more updates. Thank you, students.